A couple of years ago, I found a Nintendo DS that only had one screen. This was a device that allowed people to go into a game store and download game demos, and that's why it doesn't even have buttons or a top screen, because it just runs this piece of software which is emitting a local network that you could connect to using the DS Download Play app and download game demos and trailers. But what we discovered is that if you unscrew this door, there's actually just a regular Nintendo DS cartridge in there. So what happens if we put an actual game inside? Well, it turns into a regular Nintendo DS, and it does actually play the games. But you've only got one screen, you've got no battery, you've got no buttons, you've got no speaker, so you can't actually play the DS. But what if I told you this wasn't the only piece of equipment like this? What if I told you I found another one, and this one is even weirder? In front of me right now is something that very few people in the world have ever seen, and I've managed to get my hands on a boxed one because it's me. So this is actually looking like a pretty finished product, but obviously this is not something that's supposed to go to a customer. This was only sent to different stores, similarly to this one, and this does the same job. It emits a local network that people could come in, connect to it using DS Download Play, and download game demos. But what we've got in front of us is the version that came before this little guy. And right here it says over-the-counter wireless distribution box for Nintendo Zone. Nintendo Zone was the name of the service where people could download their game demos from. Without any further waffle, let's open this thing up. This is absolutely insane. So it actually comes with some documentation here, which is amazing. So this is basically saying what it comes with. You can see it has the unit there, a charging cable, and this is a bracket, and the bracket is in the back of the box, and that just would have been used to actually mount it to the wall. And this bracket is made of solid metal. And the other piece of documentation is for this little thing right here, which is also in the box. And I've got no idea what this is for. So let's have a quick look and see what it says. Oh, okay, so apparently this is to wrap cables around to keep it all nice and neat. And that's a little sticky pad on the back. So you could hook up everything into a cabinet, close the door, and it wouldn't get in the way. And so that just leaves us then with the unit. And oh my God, am I so excited to take a look at this thing. So it looks just like a bit of an inconspicuous white box with the Nintendo DS logo on it. It kind of has that look to it of a Mac Mini or something like that. What's really cool is on the back, it actually says Nintendo DS on it, and it has the Nintendo logo, it has a serial number, and this is in ridiculously good condition. And there's also a small little charging port right there. So I honestly think that inside here is going to have a lot of really interesting things. So we're definitely going to have to open this up and take a look at it. But for now, let's power it on. So this is the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and plug in the cable and flick open the screen and see what happens. Okay, so it's automatically loaded up the exact same software that was on this thing. And this isn't going to be much use to us at all because I haven't got access to the servers that allow me to connect a DS to this and download a game demo. But my friend does actually have something that can show us this working. They're small little cartridges that were basically the even more primitive version of this, which was specifically loaded with different game demos. That would then get put into one distribution box, and that would then emit game demos to other DSs around the store. But this one is receiving the game demos over the internet by Nintendo servers, which means it could just be loaded up with that one cartridge and then have different game demos emitted to different DSs. So this is basically the newer version, but it's still not quite this one. So what do we do when we can't do anything with this? This isn't touchscreen and we haven't got any access to this bottom screen right here. Well, that is where we open it up. I'm so nervous. What is going to be inside here? What is going to be inside here? Okay, this is the final screw. Oh my goodness, I am so nervous. Is there going to just be a whole DS inside here, or is it all going to be taken apart and look like Cassandra from Doctor Who? What is it going to look like in here? Okay. It's just a Nintendo DS. It's a Nintendo DS that's clamped into this box, and look, there's an extension cable coming out of a Game Boy game that connects to the LED. What in the world is going on right now? Okay, let's start by unplugging the LED. Look at how this door works. How over-engineered is that so that it has a little bit of a like automatic opening movement? That was really unnecessary. Let's set that aside. Now, how do we get into this further? Is it just clamped in with these foam pads? Yes, it is. It's not even screwed down. Okay, so look, this is how it takes charge. It's basically an extension cable. And this board actually has the Nintendo logo on it. So there's a small little PCB here with a wire coming off it, and it has the Nintendo logo, and then that's the charging port there, and there's the cable there, and that is how that works. So that is very, very cool. Right, and then the final thing for us to look at is the DS. Now, when I say this DS is in mint condition, I mean it. Look at the state of the top of that. That has never seen a fingerprint in its life. It more or less looks exactly the same. The only thing that's different is that there's a sticker here, which I've never seen before. So if we compare this DS to a retail one, this is a limited edition Club Nintendo. And yeah, you can see there it's completely different. It has a physical sticker printed onto it. But that is not the first time I've ever seen that, because here is the DS Classroom, the DSi Classroom edition. And that has a sticker on the back. And then right here, we have a factory DS. This was used for different tests, and this one also has a sticker printed onto the back. So that is not actually uncommon, and it doesn't look too dissimilar to the one that is on the one-screen DS. So this is really, really cool. Now, there's obviously a couple more things that we need to look at. What are these games that are plugged into this? So here is the DS game, and then we also have a Game Boy game, which has this little thing sticking off of it. So I want to know what happens when we plug these into retail consoles. Now, I think we're probably going to find that if I try and turn this on, absolutely nothing is going to happen. No screen comes on, absolutely nothing. So this hardware right here is actually exclusive to whatever this DS download zone box is. This is not a regular retail DS because it doesn't even turn on. One thing I'm curious to see if this is an actual different cartridge to the one that was in here, or if it's exactly the same. Okay, so looking at that, it looks to be exactly the same cartridge, which makes complete and utter sense. But what is going on with this Game Boy cartridge? So let's see what happens when we plug this Game Boy cartridge into a retail Nintendo DS Lite. So it isn't actually going to even display on the bottom screen. And just for science, let's see if this DS even reads this cartridge right here. So it looks like it actually does, and it's called Distributor Nintendo. And there we have it. So it actually swaps straight into this. So what this shows us is that the DS that was included in this box is not too dissimilar from the actual retail version. It just doesn't do anything else when you go to turn it on. But I suppose what we can also do is plug in a retail DS game and see what happens. It has actually loaded straight into the game. So it is actually also a regular Nintendo DS. It just has a slightly different way that it turns on. That is super duper interesting. I am honestly mind blown by how interesting this thing is. So really, all it was a DS that no one could properly access and do anything else with other than distribute the game demos. And that must be essentially why they ended up just opting for something that removed everything else other than the bottom screen, because it takes up a lot less space than this.